Today is a day of celebration. Some of us may be thinking of people that are no longer with us. It can be difficult for those feeling a sense of loss to get into the holiday spirit. And ABC7's Be Mindful correspondent Avery Martinez brings us extra depth and perspective on the story of an author who's pushing for everyone to enjoy the holidays, even after dealing with the loss of both parents in a short amount of time.
Theo Boyd was a high school English teacher in a small town south of Dallas. She was the daughter of a preacher, and her parents cared and supported her. Several years ago, Theo's mother died in a tragic accident. Then her marriage fell apart, and several years later, her father committed suicide. She was dealing with complex grief, but through it all, she survived. She wrote a book, My Grief Is Not Like Yours, trying to help others facing difficult times. And Theo tells me the holidays are particularly tough for those grieving, but there is hope.
It gets really hard for us because just getting through regular days in the year is hard, but then you slap a holiday on it and it just makes it that much harder. So you've got to navigate it one day at a time and sometimes 1 hour at a time.
Her mother and father raised her with love, and when her mother was killed in an accident, it was a tough blow. Not just for Theo, but for her father, who had been with her mother for much of his life. Between Theo's own loss and trying to support her father, the grief was difficult.
I just felt like there weren't a lot of resources out there for the traumatic loss. So I wrote one. And I also felt like maybe there weren't enough that were raw and unfiltered.
As she wrote out her frustrations and feelings, she was also struggling with her marriage falling apart.
When my first tragedy happened, I was just like this, and then another tragedy happened. And those of us that have that rapid fire loss, as I like to call it, it's very hard to adjust your life to what it once was, and your brain is constantly trying to do that.
For her, writing was therapy. So was speaking with her confidants and professionals, all while taking care of herself.
Give yourself a break. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself.
Theo says the road is long and difficult to cope with grief. She says to stay the course, stick to things that bring you joy, and know it's okay to say no to things.
You don't have to do it all. Give yourself some grace in grief.
Her 5 tips for dealing with grief are talking it out. Second, seeing a professional. Third, being kind to yourself. Fourth is journaling or doing an activity to get out what you're feeling. And fifth, be present. For those helping someone with grief, just be there. For somebody experiencing grief, try to enjoy the moment you're in.
It is so important that the people out there realize the grieving individuals, their loss is 100% unique to them.
She tells me she's come to terms with the loss of her mother and her father's suicide. Theo's never felt ashamed talking about his choice to end his life, even when she found him Father's Day morning.
And I'm so thankful for it. With my mom, there were so many questions because I wasn't there. I didn't see the accident. I didn't see anything. And so with my dad, I feel like God let me in and I got to see it. And I was with him in those precious moments.
She says all healing will take time, but finding joy and connections available around the holidays can be a big help. If you need support this holiday because you're feeling lonely, depressed, or with any mental crisis, you can reach out to the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline at 988. Staff are standing by to try and help 24/7, even today. Merry Christmas. I'm Avery Martinez for ABC7.